you think of Ashoka, you think of a great warrior who fought the Kalinga War. You even tend to forget sometimes that his signs are on the national flag or his emblem is on the parliament buildings, but you remember the Kalinga War. Because perhaps it was one of the bloodiest wars ever fought in the history of our country, or whatever it was at that time.
After the war, he went around and saw all these dead bodies, and he realizes that he has conquered corpses and now it is time to conquer hearts, which I think is actually the sum of the film in the end, because it's the last transformation that happens to him, from wherein he, of course, went about spreading Buddhism and things like that, which is not really dealt with in the film.
"50 elephants, 600 horses, and 6,000 people." The war sequence in Ashoka is perhaps the biggest war sequence to be picturized in the history of Indian cinema.
Santosh had a vision of making it Kurosawa, very intense, very small, very surreal, very interesting. But when we finally got down to it, I don't know, while discussing it here, the whole brainstorming session, suddenly just came through that no, we should make the war look like a war. Like, let's go Mughal-e-Azam, let's try and recreate something that has never happened. And that really does become the USP of this film also now.
One of the things that I was very sure of when I wanted to attempt the war was that it should have a lot of dust and sun, whereas the previous film is all in, monsoon and things like. So I really wanted a lot of dust and sun and things like that.
Before shooting, stunt director Shyam Kaushal spent hours trying to get everything correct on paper first.
इससे पहले बहुत प्रेपरेशन करनी, क्योंकि जब तक आपको मेंटली यू आर नॉट क्लियर कि व्हाट यू वांट, देन हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू टेल टू द 6,000 पीपल व्हाट यू वांट. और उसमें से भी जबकि 400 प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, 5,600 लोग अनप्रोफेशनल हैं, जिनको आपको बहुत क्लियरली बताना है कि आप क्या चाहते हैं.
It was all storyboarded before so that we will know what is happening where and all that. And we tried to execute it swiftly because we didn't want to have unnecessary accidents and things like that.
The location chosen to shoot the most important part of Ashoka was Jaipur. The Pink City would be witness to yet another war.
Actually, there's a sequence which we had shot in Orissa where there are kash flowers, which is about the area where Kalinga War was shot. And in this location also there were these little kash flowers which you could see, which was, I think, in a very nice way, a way of, somewhere feeling good about it. So we have shot in both places because it's not easy to shoot it in that place because we saw and it was, all buildings and things like that. So we wanted somewhere to have those kash flowers. I thought it would be very interesting to have that.
Juhi and Aziz were very clear, please make sure that people do not get hurt. So there are just thick layers of sand there. And sand, of course, does take away a lot of impact of, fight sequences. And you get a little more free and easy doing fight sequences in sand, though it is difficult to walk on it.
Shooting the war was 6 cameras, all positioned at vantage points to capture all the angles. Retakes had to be avoided as far as possible.
Six or seven camera, 200 people, cars, trolleys, dollies, cranes, everything in the way. And it was like, if you saw it from, I've seen it from the top of a small hill the first day when I went, and it was the most scary thing that was happening. And only I can tell you this can be controlled by one man, Santosh Sevan. He has shot this single-handedly and come up with quite nice results, if I may say so, or add so.
So sometimes it's very important to execute it quickly and not really give a chance to just repeat again and again, because people will not be on their toes the second time they charge and third time they charge. So I guess we do a lot of planning like that before, and perhaps it's also because you are a little experienced before that you could also understand how much the light will change and how quickly and what we have got, whether what we have got is enough or should we do more and things like that.
आपने देखो एक 6000 लोगों की एक फॉर्मेशन बनाई है आर्मी की, घोड़ों को पोजीशन किया है, सोल्जर्स को, फुट सोल्जर्स को पोजीशन किया है, आपने 6 कैमरा लगा के उनको एक बार छोड़ दिया है तो जब भी वो एक बार क्लैश होते थे सबसे पहले तो ऐसा पूरा मिट्टी से भर जाता था। बाय द टाइम वो सबड्यू होती थी, वो वापस जब भी अगर रीटेक होता है तो वापस सबको पोजीशंस पे लेके और सबकी, किसी की पगड़ी उतर गई है, किसी का ड्रेस का कुछ हो गया है, किसी की तलवार गिर गई है, उन सबको वापस सेम तरह से रेडी करो उनको। तो इट रिक्वायर्ड लॉट ऑफ टाइम एंड एनर्जी। तो दैट वाज आवर एम के जब भी ऐसे शॉट्स हैं उसमें रीटेक नहीं हो।
Most of the soldiers were taken from villages nearby. For most of them, it was the first time they were working in a Hindi film.
One thing was very scary. Scary means जिसके लिए सुबह से ही बहुत डर लगता था कि किसी को कुछ मार नहीं लगे, क्योंकि आज हाथी हैं, घोड़े हैं, सबको छोड़ दिया आपने 6000 लोगों को, उसमें से 400 प्रोफेशनल जिनको मालूम है हाउ टू सेव देमसेल्फ, बाकी तो सिर्फ इम्पल्स पे ये लोग कर रहे हैं और कुछ नहीं दिख रहा है बीच में। तो दैट यूज टू बी वेरी दिस थिंग, एंड बाय गॉड्स ग्रेस पूरा वॉर का सीक्वेंस है, किसी को एक खरोंच तक नहीं। दैट वाज द बिगेस्ट हैपनिंग आई थिंक, किसी को भी, नॉट इवन ए लोकल पर्सन गॉट हर्ट।
When you mix those kind of people with a lot of action people from somewhere like Bombay, you had more than 200 or 250 fighters, and then you have on top of that you have also martial art people who are from different parts of the country, so they also form a part of the villages. So it is not entirely it is a very agile group of people, not villagers.
To create the killing fields of the war, art director Sabu Cyril had to recreate dead bodies. And he had to make them by the hundreds.
I took cast of people, real people, and made it in rubber. I think it was done well because everyone appreciated it. When people, while shooting, appreciate it, you know things are working out.
Weaponry also had to be recreated. Swords, lances, armors, everything.
Everything has to be made in fiber, and because we can't really run around with a sword which is very strong and sharp, and even the spears, because they're going by horses, and you might fall, accidents can happen. So I had to take care of all these things using different type of materials which look real at the same time. And even Shanmaster was very happy. He was telling me, "Oh, without you, I don't think I'll be able to work," because the way immediately I used to give him alternatives and give him things while working. But the lances has to go inside, and the lance, it was a retractable lance which was made. So he was very happy seeing all of it. The sword which will hit, it goes inside where the neck portion is there, it goes inside like that. Which you, in the film it will look as if it's really got cut.
I have a very good understanding with Sabu because I've done so many films with him. So, and also, you know, normally when you are a cinematographer, you always sometimes give a second opinion to the director. And in my case, I really, since I was doing both, I also needed someone to have a second opinion with. And so I needed more someone who could, also decide and concentrate on the look and everything while you did the other thing too. So I really needed someone like that.
कब तक लड़ते रहोगे? कब तक? जब तक मैं जीत ना जाऊं, जब तक मैं सबको जीतना चाहूं।
युद्ध का एक ही नियम होता है विरोध,
Vijay. And even for the actors, it was the first time they were shooting for a war scene. Used to working on modern films, all of them had their own set of problems.
I don't like riding horses. I find it two ways difficult. One, technically I'm not a rider. I've tried to learn, I could not learn it. Second, I'm scared of horses because I'm not a good rider. And more importantly, so I find it a little wrong to be riding on a living being. I find it very strange that, you know, somehow it makes me feel a little too manly. I think it's too much of a thing to do. I can't do it. I can't be on a, you know, living thing and saying move and pull at his face and stuff. I'm a little, you may say, a little squeamish, a little scared of hurting animals. I like animals. Apart from that, the costume was very difficult to handle with this hair extension. Personally, I'm talking. It is very heavy to be doing this fight sequences, and it's made of metal, so every time I would raise my hand, it would tear. So you have to keep changing it after every one shot, two shots. And the swords break when you're doing the fight sequence. So you think you've got the shot right, and oh no, the sword broken, or the costume is torn from here. You redo it all the time.
Action.
Sand is a difficulty. You know, it's very difficult to be wearing these Greek kind of tied up things and, you know, jump around in the sand. And to have all this weight and do a somersault or fall, which I've done in the fight sequences, or get off the horse and hit. It's very cumbersome.
One of the unique features of Ashoka's war sequence is the presence of a Kallari troupe which is part of both the armies. An ancient martial art from Kerala. Specialists were specially flown in from Kerala for the shooting, and they all used actual swords in all the scenes. They also trained the actors in the use of this ancient art form.
It is believed, actually, Kalari is the origin of Kung Fu and all these things. And maybe somewhere it also was taken along with Zen, like it used to be Dhyan, and, you know, it changed to Zen. And maybe when these monks went, they also had to defend themselves. So they were imparted a certain training in martial arts, which is supposed to be the seed of Kung Fu. So Kalari that way has a, you know, interesting origin.
So I've done the Kalari fights with actual sword. There's a snake sword, or so to say, serpent sword, which goes ching 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 ching, and it's uncontrollable. It's uncontrollable. Even the gentleman who taught us, who was wonderful, who taught me in one day. And strangely, you know, the Kalari is done with the right leg in front and the right leg hand. It's like the wrong way to do it. I mean, you think it's wrong, because normally when you put your right hand to fight a sword, you put your left foot in front. So many a times I put my left foot in front and realize why they don't do it. Because as soon as you put the Kalari out, it cuts your foot. And it is really sharp. It cut through my shoe actually when I was practicing in Panchmari first time.
Even though the war scene in Ashoka has been shot on such a large magnitude, it was shot by director Santosh Sivan in just 4 days.
Oh, I'm sure in the world it is the biggest fight sequence shot in the shortest span of time. I mean, we could go into the Guinness Book of World Records for that. And I tell you honestly, the only one man responsible for it is Santosh Sivan, and of course the fight master Sham Kaushal. I think they did a wonderful job. I had no faith. I had no faith in Santosh. I had no faith in Sham Kaushal. There were some other friends of his who had joined in to help and pull in. There were 6 cameras. I had no faith in anything when I went and saw that. If you saw it from far, it was chaotic. And as I said, I was going through a bad time also that time, so it was completely no-no situation for me. And to see what they've done with it, you realize there's so little you know of cinema. There is so little that you understand of Santosh Seven's genius. There's so little you understand of the hard work of Shyam Kaushal and the rest of the team.
In fact, when I was supposed to shoot the war, I had all my earlier directors offering help, like Mani Ratnam said, okay, I'll come and do it. But I guess that I really want to finish it in 4 days, to be very frank with you, because then it would get a little more extended, you know, things like that. So I guess we just went about it. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I think there is a lot of element of luck also.
The end of the war forms the climax of the film. Death and destruction everywhere. The war changes Ashoka's life forever. And as it did for the real Ashoka shooting, the war sequence left a mark on everyone involved in it.
Some people, you know, abroad, when we are meeting them, they ask me what is different about this war film from other war films. So I realized it got me thinking, and then you come to this interesting conclusion, that is, most wars which are shot, you always end up cheering one side to win. Whether it is cowboys or Indians, you want cowboys to win, or if it is Americans or Germans, you want Americans to win, like that. So you end up actually, in effect, cheering for the war. And in this war, you really don't have someone rooting for either side. You know it is going to become something not very nice, you know what I mean? So you don't end up actually supporting war, which I thought was very interesting, and which I think also, when a film is seen, you realize that even though it is a war, it is actually a very emotional war. It is not about people fighting.
The war was also quite an intense period for me. I lost someone who was very close to me. Professionally, he's called my secretary, but he was like a younger brother, Anwar, while shooting it. We had a lot of problems trying to get so many people together. I was passing through a very bad phase, doing all that. And it was quite an intense period for me. And sad period for me when I was shooting it. So it will always remain in my memory as one of the most important aspects of this film.
युद्ध होते हैं और युद्ध में या तो जीत होती है या मृत्यु, और मैं जीता हूं बेटा अशोक, मैं जीता हूं.
After having gone through that, after having seen that kind of a destruction, as a person, when I'm saying this, it becomes more relevant today in face of real war which is happening in the world. That you do realize, there is a line which I read from the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, which said, you never know what will come next, tomorrow or the next life. Timing wise, the dichotomy is that somebody asked me, is it relevant it's coming in the times of war? Maybe nobody will go to see it because there's so much war going on. But whatever the case may be, whatever the final take of this film, we're just very happy that we were able to make a film on the greatest emperor, on the greatest spreader of goodness, peace, kindness, and a different film. And as an actor, I am honored to have worked with Santosh Seven, who gave me a chance to do something which I have never done before and which I may never do again.
And this is the story of Ashoka, a man who went to war as a warrior but came out a monk. King Ashoka's greatness lies in the fact that he understood his own destiny and made sure his journey mattered. Not for the world or because he was destined to do so, but for himself. He made the journey matter.